So before we go over this example, I would like to go over a couple of easier examples with you. Let's say we had something like the square root of a to the fourth power. All we would do is we would have the exponent. So basically we would take 4 and we would divide it by 2. That gets rid of the square root and we are left with a to the second power. Similarly, if we had something like b to the sixth power and we were trying to take the square root of this, we would take 6 divided by 3, we would divide it by 2, my mistake. So 6 divided by 2 would equal 3, and then that gets rid of the square root. We would get b to the third power. And something just slightly more sophisticated, let's say we had the square root of a to the 8th power and b to the 10th power. Well, we would just divide both of those exponents by 2 and we would be left with a to the 4th power and b to the 5th power. But let's go back to the original example we had, which was, I'll write it in a different color. It was the square root of a to the 5th power. Well, let's talk a little bit about what it means to multiply exponents first. So if you have two of the same bases here, so you can see underlined, we have x and x, or x to the 4th and x to the 5th. But they're both x, which means that we can just take the exponents and add them because we have the same base. The base is in purple, the exponents are in orange. So we could actually split up. Let's just take x to the 9th again. So if we had this, x to the 9th, we could actually split this up into x to the 8th multiplied by x to the 1st. Because if we were to multiply these, we would get x to the 9th. And that's how we can factor it. We can factor x to the 9th by turning it into x to the 8th multiplied by x to the 1st. So going back to our previous example, we're going to do something similar. What we want to actually do is we want to get the highest possible even number we can for the exponent after factoring. In this case, that would be a to the 4th. And then we would multiply this by a to the 1st, which is really just a, so there's no reason to put that 1 there. And simplifying this, we basically just move this out of the radical. And when we do that, it's just going to become a to the 2nd because we divide it by 2. And then finally, we are left with a to the 2nd root a. This doesn't change because we can't really divide 1 by 2 without creating a remainder or a fraction or a decimal. We kind of just leave it in the radical, and this would be our final answer. Look at a few more examples in this video. So let's say we had something like a to the 7th and b to the 9th. And we wanted to get the square root of this. Well, we would factor it in a similar fashion. So we would turn this into a to the 6th multiplied by a to the 1st multiplied by b to the 8th multiplied by b to the 1st. And again, we don't really need to write that it's to the 1st power. We can kind of just erase that. And well, we move them out of the radical, but I'll do it one at a time just so that we don't get confused. So a to the 6th is going to become a to the 3rd. Let me write it down here. So we have a to the 3rd here. We leave a in the radical, and we still have b to the 8th and b. Finally, you can move b to the 8th out. This is going to become b to the 4th. And finally, we are left with a to the 3rd, b to the 4th, and the a and b here get left in. So a to the 3rd, b to the 4th, and the square root of ab. This is our final answer. Let's say we had something like this. We wanted to take the square root of just a and b to the 2nd. So we can't really touch the a because it's a to the 1st. We don't really want to be left with a fraction or a decimal. But we can deal with b to the 2nd. We move this out. It's just going to become b. And our final answer would be b root a. And we usually write a first, so usually we put it in the back, but because it's in the radical, it actually goes after the b. And our final answer is b root a. I'd like to just go over one more example. Let's say we had a to the 10th power, b to the 5th power, and we wanted to get the square root of this. Well, we do something similar, so we move a, we'll start with a. This can become a to the 5th. So we get a to the 5th, and we still have b to the 5th in the radical. But because it's odd, we are going to factor this, so it's going to become, let's see, I'll just rewrite it. It's going to become b to the 4th power multiplied by b to the 1st, or just b. We move this out of the radical, it's going to become b to the 2nd, and our final answer will be a to the 5th, b to the 2nd, root b. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. If you are interested in seeing more tutorials related to mathematics, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're interested in online tutoring, check out the description of this video. You may find something helpful.